Welcome back to Keeneland Racecourse, TVG on-site, all spring meeting long here in Lexington, Kentucky. You know, we talk so much about, and you've heard me say this refrain when there's an incident at the starting gate, the health and well-being of the equine athletes and the men and women who ride them of paramount importance in this game. But it goes even further than that. What happens when a racehorse is done with their career? Joining us now is the president of the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance, John Phillips, to talk about that very subject. John, good to see you again.
Thanks, Todd. Nice to be here.
Thanks for being
Paul.
For
Great.
those who are not familiar with the fantastic work that the TAA does, how would you best describe it to someone who's not familiar with what you do?
We're focused on, just as you say, what happens to the horse after his racing or her racing career. Obviously, some of them are returned to the industry on the production cycle, but there are a lot that aren't. And so we have the goal of repurposing horses, retraining them for anything from being a police horse to polo ponies to Susie's backyard horse. Or retirement, which is another option, or humane management in cases of certain athletes that just have had severe injuries and the horse can't have a happy life. But mostly it's retirement and retraining focus that we're geared with.
Well, we've seen a couple of them come back as jumpers and do some of the shows here, actually. Some
Absolutely.
of the 9-year-old geldings that we've bet on the racetrack, new lives for them. I mean, they love doing it, too, as well.
Well, absolutely. You know, I mean, they're at most their life is maybe just half over, so they've got a real career as athletes, and they show that in the hunter jumper world. We've had racehorses that have actually ended up in the Olympics in the jumping competition. And it's a real emphasis now for the industry to make sure that our athletes, once they're done with their racing, have a whole new career.
Well, look, it also takes a lot of money to pull this off with the staff and the hours and everything that's put in. Are most of your staff volunteers, and how are you funded?
Well, we're a 501(c), and yes, there are lots of volunteers, but our organization, really it is an accrediting organization, then it monitors those 501(c)s out there, and then it continues that process and follows up on those athletes as they go through the process. We have 180 facilities. We have 64 organizations across the country and Canada that we monitor and accredit and make sure that they're doing the job from a management, a care point of view, and quite frankly, governance of their own organization.
Well, that's the one thing I wanted to follow up on, because it seems like a lot of organizations have popped up in a lot of states across the country, and you wonder, well, how good is this organization? So the TAA plays a role in that. We can be sure if they're with the TAA, we're in good hands.
Absolutely, and that's really critically important, because in the past we have stubbed our toe as an industry on some organizations that were good, well-intentioned, but just weren't really run sufficiently to satisfy maybe the contributors or certainly our industry. So the accreditation of the TAA is critically important. It's a massively difficult thing or hard thing you just don't get an accreditation easily. You have to go through a process.
And the easiest way is to go on the website and you can find basically where you need to go, basically,
yes,
right?
Yes, www.thoroughbredaftercare.org.
And John, I think racetracks that have committed to your organization deserve mention. I know there's too many to mention that have signed up, but you know, I noticed on the board, Bill Thomason here, the president and CEO of Keeneland, says a lot about his organization.
Well, Keeneland does a great job in many ways, not only at the racetrack where they contribute matching funds from starters, but also in the sales end. Fasig-Tipton does great, the Stronach Group does great. It is a total industry effort, and that's very important. Every aspect of the industry, whether it's owners, breeders, consigners, veterinarians, every aspect of the industry, they buy into it, and it has to be really a cost of our business, because the public really cares what happens, and so we can't ignore this issue. It has to be very much a part of our game.
I think the key word you said the whole time we've been here is athlete. I think a lot of people focus on the jockey being the athlete. The horse is still the athlete as well.
Oh, well, when you see what they do not only here, but what they'll do at, say, the Rolex, it's it's amazing. The thoroughbred is truly an athlete, and they need to be respected as such.
Yeah, and TVG has been a home for former athletes. John, in all seriousness, thank you for being on the front lines of what is one of the most important parts of our industry. What happens to those athletes once they're done racing? I encourage everyone to get involved. You can do it as an individual. It's not just about the racetracks and other organizations coming together. The Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. John, fantastic.
Thank you very much. Thank TVG.
Thanks, John, and go Pirates.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah. Baseball guy there for many, many moons. All right, we are going to come back with a fantastic racing day here at Keeneland, about 48 minutes until race number 1. We'll be back with more on TVG right after this.